Marker, the monkey review, guys. Get right to it. Action. What's going on, Alamo City Movie Talk fans? As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. aka Ryan680.
I am Angela, that Catlin Ange.
And this is Alamo City Movie Talk, guys. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. You know what to do, guys. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to us on our Alamo City Movie Talk page. And thank you for making us a part of your day. Let's get right to it. Angela, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the 1980 or the 2025 adaptation of Stephen King's 1980 short story film, The Monkey. When twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start. The siblings decide to throw the toy away and move on with their lives, growing apart over the years. So, Ryan, I know we had seen a couple promos here and there going into this. I was getting really pumped up to see this film. Produced by James Wan. It's based on a short story by Stephen King.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of high expectations for this, and I will say, what do you think coming out of this theater watching this film? Do you think this met your expectations?
So first and foremost, I do want to say we have to notate that the director here is Osgood Perkins, and he actually directed Legally Blonde, the first one in 2001. So you kind of get a sense to where the tone's going to be at the very first part of this movie and everything. And as far as expectations go, Angela, man, for me, it didn't really meet. But then again, I might not even be the audience for this movie. One of the things I do want to really emphasize this is two things, guys. Two things. First and foremost, this is like Final Destination, but with the monkey, obviously, the toy monkey. Don't call it that. Toy monkey with the narration of the Sandlot in this, like I said, out of theater reaction. So it's really a comparison to where you kind of mix those two movies in together. Obviously nothing to do with baseball, just the narration side of it, because it reminded me a lot of it. I mean, one thing I'm gonna say though, Theo James, he is damn good. He is so damn good. I didn't have a problem with him playing two different characters, playing two twin brothers, Hal and Bill. I thought that was really great to see him really dynamic there. And I was like, holy crap, he's really good. It's just for me, I feel like that this wasn't the Oscar. This is going to be the Oscar film for him. And I'm 100% sure now after watching this movie, though, one thing's for sure is that he is definitely going to get an Oscar under his belt. If not this year, next year. And he did a great job in this movie.
Well, yeah. I do remember, I've always been a fan of him for a while, but I know one of his last major works was the TV show The White Lotus.
Yeah.
One of the previous seasons with and
he was in the Divergent series too, which
I didn't watch.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that many people really liked. So
he's such an underrated.
It's one of those things to where he's not in very good movies, but he's good in them, and that's okay.
Sure. Okay,
right?
sure.
What did you think of this movie?
I agree. I had higher expectations for this one just because of the minds behind this. James Wan, he's pretty prominent in the horror industry.
Well, it's not directed, it's produced
but he still has a hand in it, and I could tell there are some moments in here where I was like, that's totally James Wan. It reminded me of some of the shots how he did from The Conjuring, just little moments that really turn up the dial on the creep factor, which I really appreciate. Did I love this movie coming out of the theater? No. I think some of the horror scenes weren't done the best way, but again, I think it's because it was trying to do more on the heavy side of the dark comedy, which I didn't personally like in this film. I think we had talked off camera about how maybe if it was a strictly serious film, it would have been a little bit better.
Well, not strictly serious. There's some moments where the comedy really brings in that dark humor, and I really enjoy that. I do. But it's like Terrifier. You have these serious moments, and then he doesn't have to say one word. He does these hilarious scenes and stuff, but again, totally different studios, obviously totally different genres.
But I feel like maybe the dark humor was a little bit more forced. I don't know. There was something about the dark humor for me that didn't mesh well.
Well, for me, it was too ridiculous. Everything was a joke, and I didn't like that. I wanted that serious tone in here, like Final Destination, and have a little bit of dark humor. The first act of this movie is so solid and good.
The setup,
then it just goes to a chaos. I think the pacing is.
I think it's also because the first act kind of focuses on the story, the buildup of explanation of what the heck's going on, you know? And then the last half is mainly like a lot of people die. A lot of people die. Yeah. And I cannot underline that enough. A lot of people die in this. But again, I just...
ridiculous ways, by the way.
And it's not even that, because Final Destination has these weird freak accident like situations that, I don't know, it's just something about the dark humor for me just didn't quite get pulled off as much as it could have. But again, did I hate the movie? Did I think it was trash? No. Just, I think it could have been gone a different direction to what it is. But again, I liked the cast. I think some of the shots and angles and some of the way the story kind of unfolds, some points of it was really cool. I will give props to the design of the monkey. That is creepy. That did its job. That was a creepy toy.
And you did
doesn't like to be called a toy.
And you did see actually that that in the short story film that it's actually not a drum.
Yeah, it's a symbols.
Yeah. It's
supposedly it's a symbols. Again, this is coming strictly from a film adaptation side. We have not read the short story, although I do kind of want to Google it and read it.
Yeah,
just to get a different perspective.
And this is also the same director, or like I said already again, but I do want to emphasize this as well. He's actually the same director who directed Longlegs, which is the one which
different vibe, completely different
vibe. You know, I feel like Longlegs had this serious dive into the horror elements, and it really captivates you. And if you were to compare the two, because it's the same director, I enjoyed Longlegs way more than I enjoyed this one, just because of the fact it's so different and it's such a different tone, more serious tone. But again, hey, it's the same studio that made Longlegs, and I could see why he wanted to take a risk, and I appreciate that. We go back to where like movies need to take risks, and this movie took a risk, and I appreciate that a lot. Granted, we didn't love it as much as I'm pretty sure other people are going to probably love this movie. I've been seeing a lot of reviews, mixed reviews, saying like, oh, it's great, solid. We'll see when the full reviews start coming out and everything. But as far as reactions goes, everyone's saying the horror is good. For me, the horror CGI is very, very... There's certain moments in here where it does look a little poorly pixelated.
I would say more it's like cheesy.
Yeah.
Not necessarily done poorly, just cheesy for horror. But again, that plays into the dark humor again, which wasn't my favorite part.
It's called under IMDb, it's actually splatter horror. That's the first I ever heard of that.
I
guess that's...
It makes sense though, because
Terrifier is splatter horror, so
it does make sense. And we won't say why, but once you see it, you'll probably understand it.
I mean, even Terrifier 3 has supernatural horror, teen horror, holiday horror.
Well, yeah.
Splatter horror, slasher horror.
If you know what Terrifier is, you've seen the films.
Yeah.
Those
you already know what kind of to expect out of there. Yeah.
It is supernatural. It is teen horror, slasher horror. But again, I wanted to love this movie. I really did.
Yeah.
Did I hate it? No, but... You know what? It was an okay movie.
It's solid.
Me.
It's a solid. And speaking of that, film. Go to ratings. What are you gonna give this rating?
I'll give it like a...
Oh, out of 10, guys. 6. 1 out of 10. 10
I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Just because, again, love Theo James. I think he did great, as well as the other cast. There's a couple other faces I recognize. Did I love the dark humor aspect? Some of it hit, some of it didn't for me. The horror was, again, okay, but it was an interesting story. I will say I do. It makes me want to read the story that Stephen King did in 1980. So that's always a success in my book. If it wants me to, if I want to learn more about it, then that's a good story for me. But again, it did not meet my expectations. But still, at the end of the day, 6 out of 10 for me.
Okay, I'm going to give it a solid 5.5 out of 10, almost a 6, just because of the fact that the pacing issues with me, it's a different tone. It's a definitely different tone here, guys. And if you love that dark humor, you love that dark, that just joking for everything, joking about death, just nonstop jokes, ridiculous jokes, that this movie's going to be for you guys. It really is. And it really comes down to it to where, like, it wasn't... It was the tone in the beginning was serious, and then it kind of shifts a lot, and it even shifts. Even the funeral scenes, I was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, it's ridiculous. But again, though, this might be the director's point. This might be the director's point of view, and it was like, hey, he wants to joke about everything. That's awesome. I love that. I appreciate that. It just didn't sit well with me. And as Osgood Perkins, I cannot wait to see the next project he's in. Does this stare away from me? No, it doesn't. Oh. It just wasn't. It wasn't my style. Again, we go back to where, like, maybe we weren't the audience for this movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
anything's possible.
Same thing with Terrifier. Now, those are pretty okay films. Do I love them? No,
not as much as everyone.
Not as not as much. But again,
they're still entertaining, and that's the thing too with this movie is that it's very entertaining to see Theo James in here and really captivates you on playing two different dynamic character twin brothers, and I appreciate that a lot because
so
it made sense. Yeah, it made sense, and it comes to the acting skills. It comes down to Theo James's acting chops, and really get to see a glimpse to where how deep and dive darkness can we get into out of him. And it's just, I love that. I really do. I appreciate that.
Great.
Yeah, I really
so
yeah, it's just a good solid film. I didn't love it though. I'll leave it at that, guys. Question is for you guys. Let us know in the comments down below. What did you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. What did you guys think of The Monkey, Stephen King's, produced by James Wan and directed by Osgood Perkins? As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. Ryan680.
I'm Angela, that Kelly Ange.
This is Alamo City Movie Talk, guys. Have a good one and see you at the movies. Latest.